where the theme is around yoga for anxiety and immunity. And so to begin, I'm going to teach you a mudra, which is a hand position. So we're going to weave all the fingers together just like we had a fist, and then bring the index fingers so that the tips touch, and bring the thumb tips together but point them down. And then hold that diamond shape of the index fingers and thumbs in front of the heart or in front of the solar plexus. And you can close the eyes and sink into Uttara Bodhi Mudra. I'll tell you a little bit about this mudra and what it is for. Uttara Bodhi Mudra calms an excited mind. It soothes the nerves. It's good to try when feeling overwhelmed or when you are preparing for a task that you think is going to be overwhelming. You can do this mudra for a few minutes before then and to get calmed down. Uttara Bodhi Mudra improves self-confidence. It removes fear. It teaches us not to worry about anything but God. I like that one the best. It unlocks our thinking, making room for inspiration and problem solving and decision making. It improves focus and concentration. It helps us inhale more deeply, and it aids in digestion. So what that tells me is it's turning on the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest nervous system, and getting us out of that fight or flight mode. So you can come in that Uttara Bodhi Mudra and close the eyes and steady the breath and begin to feel the effects of this mudra on the breath, on the mind, on our overall emotional state. And I'd like to read you a passage from Isaiah 28 that I found encouraging this week. It's God speaking to us, saying, "Listen and hear my voice. Pay attention and hear what I say. When a farmer plows for planting, does he plow continually? Does he keep on breaking up and working the soil? When he has leveled the surface, does he not sow caraway and scatter cumin? Does he not plant wheat in its place, barley in its plot, and spelt in its field?" His God instructs him and teaches him the right way. Caraway is not threshed with a sledge, nor is the wheel of a cart rolled over cumin. Caraway is beaten out with a rod, and cumin with a stick. Grain must be ground to make bread, so one does not go on threshing it forever. The wheels of a threshing cart may be rolled over it, but one does not use horses to grind grain. All this also comes from the Lord Almighty, whose plan is wonderful, whose wisdom is magnificent. And it just made me see this whole coronavirus from a different perspective, seeing that God is at work and that He's almighty. He works in a way that's systematic and purposeful and measured. His plans are wonderful, and He has magnificent wisdom. And it's just good to remember that even though it feels like He may be plowing up the field and everything's getting stirred up and looking like it's being broken, that it's so He can plant seeds, that He wants something new to grow. And so I thought throughout this practice, we could just thank God for who He is, for His character. Thank God for being almighty, for being systematic, purposeful, measured, having wonderful plans and magnificent wisdom. I want us to come back to that again and again. So you can open the eyes and release the mudra. One of the things I've been feeling in my body over the past few weeks is I haven't been able to breathe very deeply. And so I thought we'd begin our practice with some pranayama. So we'll come onto the back, feet as wide as the mat. You can have a hand on the belly and a hand on the heart, but the elbows still resting on the ground. Knees falling together. And you can close the eyes so that you can just focus on the breath. First check in, is there a curve, an arch in the low back and behind the neck? So you should be resting on the sacrum and the space between the shoulder blades, but the other parts of the back are lifting away from the mat. And then just notice the breath. We're going to spend a little moment noticing where the breath is. Is it more in the belly or more in the upper chest? Is it deep or shallow? Are the breaths long and slow or short? Maybe even erratic? Maybe you'll notice which nostril you're breathing from. Maybe you'll notice if the breath feels nourishing, if it feels like enough, or if you're having a hard time allowing yourself to breathe in deeply. And then we're going to notice what the length of the breath is right now. That changes and varies. So as you inhale, without trying to lengthen the inhale, just notice what the natural length of the inhale is and count it. It might be an inhale of 3 or 4 or even 6. Just what's the natural length of the inhale? And then breathing out, what's the natural length of the exhale? We're going to find a count that we can keep throughout our practice where we won't be straining, because it's the natural amount that we're breathing right now. And if your inhale and exhale are to different counts, find a count that's a happy medium between both of those, because we'll be trying to keep the inhale and exhale the same length through most of this pranayama practice. So once you have your count, we're going to switch to samavriti breathing. Sama means same. And we're going to try and have the same inhale to the same length exhale. So the same count breathing in and the same count breathing out. And notice as the breath becomes more steady, how that calms the mind. See if you can bring the breath into the belly first, and then let it move up the chest toward the collarbone. And on an exhale, feel the belly button pull down towards the spine. And we're going to switch to Ujjayi Samavriti breathing. So Ujjayi breath has that slight constriction on the exhale so that we can hear the exhale through the nose. So inhale through the nose for that same count. And on an exhale, squeeze the back of the throat just like you were saying and fogging up a mirror, but the lips are closed. Ujjayi Samavriti breathing. So still the same count for inhale and exhale. Just adding that sound on the exhale so that we can hear the breath coming in and going out. Ujjayi means triumphant breath. It's the triumph of the breath over the mind. Because when we can hear the breath, it gives our mind something to focus on, which just calms down all our anxieties so we can be more in the present moment. And now we're going to see if we can lengthen the exhale ever so slightly. So if your inhale was to a count of 4, your exhale might be 5 or 6. See what you can do without straining, just by pulling the navel towards the spine just a little more deeply to get a little longer exhale. When we extend the exhale like that, it helps us to relax. Now we are going to add a pause between the inhale and exhale. So if the inhale was 4, we might pause for 2. Then exhale for 4. And then go straight to the inhale, no pause. And do a few rounds of this Ujjayi Samavriti breathing with a pause. Noticing how the concentration that this requires is helping us stay in the present moment. Keep the mind focused and right here. Not sailing off into the future and getting anxious. And now we're going to move on to Viloma 2. So it's the same count for the inhale, but it's a segmented exhale. So if we had a 4 count breath, our segments for the exhale might be broken up into 3 pieces. So it's short little bursts. It feels like we're coming down a ladder with the breath. So big sweeping inhale and short little bursts coming down. Now we'll return to that Ujjayi Samavriti breathing. Same length breath with that constriction at the back of the throat on the exhale. And then release the throat and just the same length inhale and exhale. Samavriti breathing. after our next inhale, we'll just return to our own natural pace of breathing. And take time again to notice the location of the breath, the pace of the breath, how full or shallow the breath is. Maybe you notice a different nostril is dominant now. Maybe you notice the effects in the mind, how much calmer and quiet and less anxious the mind feels. We'll roll over to the right side and come up for child's pose. So we'll bring the knees as wide as the mat, big toes together. Sink the hips back and forehead to the floor. Pressing the skin of the forehead towards the eyebrows. And breathing into the back. Steady, slow breaths into the back of the lungs. Feeling the back ribs rise and fall. Turning on that parasympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest. So we can come out of fight or flight. Recalling while we're here, God, we thank you for who you are. We thank you that you are the one in charge. And rise up. Whew. We'll come into Sukhasana, so crossing the legs, the ankles under the knees. And we're going to do a simple twist to start to stretch out the neck. The lymph nodes, which are a part of our immune system, are mostly located in the neck, armpits, and groin area. So we'll be stretching out those areas. Bring your left hand to the little crisscross area between the legs. Bring your fingertips behind you so that this right shoulder is pulling back. Then turn the chin so it's over the left shoulder, and then tilt the head back and to the side, and feel all this length of the neck to that back shoulder, getting a good stretch. And then straighten the head and bring that back shoulder forward so the shoulders are square again. And then we'll repeat that. So pulling the right shoulder back, gazing over the left shoulder, and then tip back and tilt, stretching the neck, finding that spot for your head that really lets you get a nice stretch all the way from like the earlobe and the jawline all the way to that back shoulder. And release and come center. And one last time. On this side, right shoulder back, chin forward, and then tip and tilt back. Breath is steady the whole time. And back to center. And just feel the difference in the two sides of the neck. Then reach back with the left hand, so now our left shoulder's pulling back away. And our gaze is over the right shoulder. And then tip and tilt and lengthen in the neck. And straighten out. Shoulders are level. And reach back, pulling that left shoulder back. Gazing out over the front shoulder. And then lean the head to the side and back. I really got that spot this time. Hope you did too. And turn. And one last time. On the fingertips behind you, turning the chin over that front shoulder, and then lean and tilt the head back. And back to center. All right, we're gonna come onto our hands and knees for some cat-cows. So inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart, lift the gaze. Exhale, tuck the tailbone first, round the back, spread through the shoulder blades and drop the head. And inhale, extend back to your tailbone first, crown of the head is last. And exhale, curl it all in, pressing the floor away to really spread through the shoulder blades. Filling up deeply in cow. And squeezing it all out with cat. And one more time. Inhale. Exhale. And then a more neutral spine, more of a flat back. We're going to circle the hips around. And as we're circling, we're rocking in the sacrum, that big bony plate at the bottom of the spine. Rocking the sacrum is very soothing to the central nervous system. Help us get out of those anxious feelings in the body. And then circle the other direction. Nice, slow, and steady breath. Wow, that was nice, very soothing. We're going to step our right foot forward next to the thumb of our right hand and get ready for a low lunge. So you can bring your interlaced hands up to the front thigh to get some balance and kind of check where your feet and knees should be. So we don't want the knee to go past the ankle, but we might want to sink in a little bit. Bringing a little squeeze into the left side of the glute, feeling how that helps you come in with more control. And then using this reminder of the hands on the thigh to pull the belly away from that front thigh. And then lifting the left arm up and over the ear and extend the side, lifting the chin, lifting the gaze. Opening through that side gate, the ribs on the left side, so that we can get those nice deep breaths that help us feel more relaxed. And hands to the floor and change sides. Left foot comes forward over next to the thumb of the left hand. Interlace the fingers and come up. Sink in, maybe adjust the feet so that knee doesn't go past the ankle. Sink in, squeeze that right glute so you can pull back and up a little higher. And then lift the right arm and lean. Nice side stretch. Using this moment of an uplifted gaze to remember how thankful we are for who God is. He's almighty and purposeful and measured in what he does. And sweep the arms back down. Change legs. Low lunge on the right side. We'll come up. And on an inhale, we're going to spread the arms wide in cactus. And on an exhale, kind of pull back and fists come up. Inhale, fingers spread wide, super wide across the collarbones. And then exhale, round, especially in the upper back, and pull away with that front knee, pulling it back a little bit. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale and exhale. Getting a little bit into the armpit area. All this is stretching back. And hands to the floor, change legs. Inhale, sweep it back, cactus arms. And exhale, rise up, more square with that front knee. Inhale, sinking down. Exhale, rising up, curving in the upper spine especially. Inhale, open. Exhale, drawing it in. Inhale, fingers spread wide. Exhale, fists rise up. One more time. Inhale, sink and expand. And exhale, draw in with control. Hands down. Whew. And we're gonna bring the right foot forward, but to the outside of the right hand. I might need to scoot back a little bit. For a lizard lunge. So you can drop the hips a little bit, feel how that starts to open up through the groin and inner thigh. And if this is already a big stretch, you can stop here. Otherwise, you can come down onto the forearms, maybe even come into that Uttara Bodhi Mudra. Maybe roll to the outer edge of the right foot so the knee is dropping more out to the side, get a little more stretch. Breathing nice and deep and slow. And then reaching the right arm over towards the left. Kind of a diagonal. And there's kind of a cat stretch in the back doing this so that you can reach a little bit further and get a little more opening in the back. And back to that Uttara Bodhi Mudra. Gazing forward, then up on the hands, flatten the foot, and change legs. So bring the left foot to the outside of the left hand, angling the foot, kind of half on the mat, half off, and sink in. So dropping the pelvis a little bit to sink into that inner thigh, groin area. And if this is enough, you can pause here. Or come down to the forearms, weave the fingers together, index fingers together, thumbs together for Uttara Bodhi Mudra. Gaze forward, maybe roll onto the outer edge of the left foot. And then reach and round, reaching that left arm. And curling a little bit in the spine. Let's get a nice stretch in the back and to breathe into the back, turning on that parasympathetic nervous system. And back to Uttara Bodhi Mudra. Couple more breaths. And then up on the hands and change legs. Now we'll be bringing the right foot forward again, but then popping up with the back knee, so that we're in a high lunge. So this will be our inhale. Drop the hips, look forward, inhale. Feel how that's a little cowish. And then exhale, lift the toes, straighten that front leg. This is a little cattish. Inhale, drop forward, inhale. Exhale, draw back, straighten that front leg. Drop down on an inhale, coming up. And exhale, pulling the hips back, feeling that nice stretch in the back of that front leg. And a couple more. Just this slow pace, helping us to get out of anxiety. This deep breathing pattern, helping to soothe and slow us down. And down to our last high lunge, and then drop the back knee and change legs. So bringing the left forward, lifting that back leg, gaze is forward, inhale, and exhale, straighten, lifting those front toes, but pressing through the big toe ball mound. Feel how that changes things. And then inhale, come forward, lift into that cow stretch in the back. And exhale, more of a cat stretch in this stretch for the front leg. Inhale, forward. Exhale, pulling back. Inhale, forward, in this kind of a hopeful position. And exhale, bowing, nice and slow. No rush, no anxious hurry scurry. I'm coming into that high lunge and dropping the back knee. And we're going to come more to the center of our mat and get into a wide-legged forward fold. I like to bring my heels to the back of the mat so I know my feet are more even. Hands under the shoulders and just start to sway in the upper body. Rocking that sacrum. Nice, slow, soothing movements. And then start to alternate bending the knees. And with each bend and sway, see if you can get a little lower. Check in with the breath. Is it still slow and deep? We're going to walk the hands back to that imaginary line between the feet. So connecting the arches, put the hands right there. And if it's accessible, you can bring the head, I'm going to widen my feet a little bit, down to the floor so that the crown of the head is on the floor. And then the elbows can draw up and the shoulder blades are moving up the back. And that little bit of pressure on the crown of the head helps to really calm the mind. It's a good place to close the eyes and ponder how good it is that God is who He is, and to thank Him for being who He is. And extend forward, hands back under the shoulders. We'll heel toe it in a little bit and come up. We're going to do a few more standing poses. So we're going to have the right foot angled out and step back for Virabhadrasana 1. And so that means the pelvis is squaring toward that front foot. And to get it a little more square, you might have to bring that back foot off a little more to the left side of the mat. So get that pelvis square first. And then we're going to inhale the arms up and come back to that cactus. And then on the exhale, draw more that front knee straight and crisscross the elbows, just like Urdhvasana arms, but come into fists. And then lunge into that front knee and spread wide. And exhale, fists and elbows cross. And then wide. And sweep the opposite crisscross with the arms. Really feeling that expanse through the chest on the inhale. And that opening across the back on the exhale. Couple more. And we'll pause here, bend into that front knee, interlace the fingers behind the back, keeping that back leg straight, and begin to fold towards the inner edge of that front thigh. And as you kind of lay the core over that inner thigh, you can start to lift the fist over the head and get some nice opening at the front of the shoulder. Trying to get at those lymph nodes in the armpits. And then bring the fist down as you come up and release and change the angle of the feet. So you might just want to switch feet at the end of the mat where you are. This is just easier for me to do so I can keep facing the camera. So check the pelvis is more square and hop the back foot over to the side accordingly to make room. And I have to walk my front foot forward a little bit so my front knee doesn't go past the ankle. And we'll inhale up to cactus arms and exhale Garudasana arms. And inhale wide, sinking in, and exhale crisscross the other way. So wide with the fingers on the inhale, and exhale, drawing it in and up. And one last time. Spread wide, cross over, and then release the arms, sink into that front knee, interlace the fingers behind the back in the wonky way, uncomfortable way, and then start to bow over that front inner thigh and lift the fist up and over. This is humble warrior. And not only is it a forward fold, which is going to help to calm things down, but we're opening up through the armpits and the front of the shoulder for the lymphatic stimulation there. And then bring the fist back down towards the sacrum and rise up. Let's see, what do I have us doing next? Ooh! So we're going to go into a variation of extended side angle. And so let's come down to table first so that we can really build this up from the bottom. So we'll bring the right foot forward, and then keeping that right hand on the floor right next to the right foot, we'll adjust the back foot so that it's either heel-heel alignment or heel mid-arch alignment. And then we're going to reach this left arm up and around and then round in the back. So it'll feel like a little bit of a cat stretch, especially on the left side of the back. The gaze is down, the fingertips are pointing down. And then we're going to start to rotate it open. So keeping that right hand on the floor and bringing that right knee so that it doesn't go past the ankle, but it's coming closer to 90 degrees. We'll start to tuck under that right sit bone and open the chest up towards the side. So that right bottom side of the chest is starting to rotate up. Bring the pinky side of the hand down, facing the floor so the palm is reaching behind you, fingers spreading, and there's a super long line from the fingertips down to the outer edge of the back foot. Extended side angle. And then reach that back down to the floor. Bring that foot down. And I'm going to switch sides. You can do that. Wait a minute, am I? If I did that, then I go here. Yes, that is what I want to do. Bring our left foot forward. Left fingertips next to that front left foot. Then pop up that back knee and root the back foot. So heel to mid-arch back foot alignment or heel to heel. Whichever feels best in your body. And then we'll reach up and around with that right arm and round in the back. And breathe into the back. Feeling the right side of the back just really opening. Feeling nice and full so we can get a good deep breath. And then bringing that front knee so it's over the ankle, staying on those fingertips. Start to tuck that left sit bone under as you rotate the chest open, pinky side of the hand facing the floor, coming into extended side angle. Feel the bottom of the left side of the chest rotating up towards the ceiling. I usually have to remind myself to lengthen through the front of the neck. And while we're gazing up, thinking, thank God you are who you are. And rotate it down. Drop that back knee. Whew. I think I have us doing a few sun salutations now. Half sun salutations. I'm trying to avoid down dogs for you, Alyssa. So we'll come to the end of our mat, into Tadasana, feet hip width apart, and inhale, circle up. And exhale, bow and fold with a flat back, fingertips towards the floor, head, crown of the head facing down, inner spiral of the thighs. Inhale. If your hamstrings are loose enough by now, you might be able to keep the fingertips on the floor, otherwise hands come to the shin. And then exhale, bow. And inhale, sweep it up. And exhale, palms to the heart. Whew. Thank God you are who you are. Inhale, circle up. Exhale, bow. Inhale, come up halfway. Really lengthen those bottom ribs away from the waist so that when you come back down into that next bow, there's even more room. And inhale, sweep up. And exhale, palms to the heart. Thank you, God, for being almighty, systematic, purposeful, measured, for having wonderful plans, and for your magnificent wisdom. Nice to pause and think about those things. Inhale, sweep up one last time. Exhale, bow. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bow again. And inhale all the way up. And exhale, palms to the heart. I'm going to keep my right foot right there and step back with my left foot, not as far as we would in a warrior pose or in that extended side angle, because this is for triangle. So heel to heel or heel to mid-arch, and inhale the arms up, shoulder height. Kick the back hip back as you reach the front arm forward. And when it can't go any further, then you float the arm down somewhere on the shin, never on the knee. And then we'll bring that arm around and down, gazes down, doing that opening through the back again. Breathing into the back, turning on the parasympathetic nervous system, turning off anxiety. And then inhale, sweep it up. So that bottom side of the right chest is turning up. The heart is turning to be in line with the heel of the hand. Gaze is up at the thumb. Front of the neck is open and long. And then just like God's grabbing your hand and pulling you up. You can change sides this way or switch out your feet at the same end of the mat. So we'll bring the left foot forward, right heel, turning the foot in a little bit or perpendicular. And then this front leg is straight but not hyperextending back, so put a little micro bend in that knee just to keep the leg straight. Inhale the arms up, kick the hip back, reach, reach, reach. Extend down and then round over. Gaze is down and really feel those bottom ribs lifting up. Feels nice to get some deeper breath into the back of the lungs. And then starting to turn and reach up. Bottom ribs spiraling upward. Heart reaching up towards the heel of the hand. Gaze lifting. Thank you, God, for being who you are. And just like He's helping us up, we come up that way. We're going to kneel down in the middle of the mat. So, sitting on the feet that are flat on the floor. The legs are drawing together. We're going to lean our left arm, fingertips facing back, and lift the hips and circle the arm. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Inhale, fist. Exhale, fingers spread wide. Inhale up, exhale. Again, opening all around the armpit to stimulate lymphatic release there. And down. Whew. And then bringing the right hand behind us off to the right side of the mat and the fingertips facing back behind us. And we'll lift the hips and begin to circle the arm around. Inhale, fist up. Exhale, fingers wide down. Inhale up. Exhale, circle around. So the slowness is good for our anxiety. And this armpit opening is good for our immunity. And sit up. Whew. And we're going to go from table into pigeon so that we don't have to transition through a down dog. So we're going to bring the right knee towards the right wrist, flex the foot as we bring it down, and then slide that back leg back. And we're going to come up on the fingertips wide off to the side. So our inhale is up, and this is like our cow pose. And our exhale is round. Inhale up, and exhale down. Inhale up, and exhale down. One more time, inhale up. And this time on an exhale down, we're going to bring the hands and stack them and place the forehead on the floor. If the forehead doesn't reach, you can stack the hands under the forehead or stack the fists. We're trying to just get that little bit of pressure on the forehead to help calm the mind, calm the thoughts. Feel the breath going into the back side of the body. And rise up. Whew. And here's a fun little transition. We're going to shift the weight over into the right hip, sweep that leg around, interlace the fingers behind the foot, and extend. So reaching the heart up towards the foot, maybe even bending the elbows and drawing a little closer. And then bringing the right hand to the outside of that foot and reaching the fingertips onto the floor behind you and twisting back. Nice long breaths in this twist. It's a fun one, isn't it? And release. And we'll come back into table so we can do pigeon on the other side. Bringing that left knee towards the left wrist, flexing the foot and gliding that back leg back. And making sure that foot gets more to the midline of the body. Fingertips wide. Inhale up. Exhale, round. Inhale up. And exhale, round. Inhale up. Exhale, round. Inhale up one last time. And then bring the hands forward and bring the forehead to the floor or to the stacked hands or the stacked fists. And pressing the skin of the forehead towards the eyebrows. Pause and rest, breathing into the back. Breathing into the back to calm down anxiety. And getting this stretch in the groin for the immune system. We'll come back up. Shift onto the left hip and swing the back leg around. Interlace the fingers behind the foot and stretch. Heart towards toes. Bend the elbows and pull in a little more. And then the left hand to the outside of this right foot. Right fingertips behind you and twist. Breathing deeply into that twist. And release. Alrighty, we're going to come down onto the belly. Prepare for Sphinx pose. So the elbows under the shoulders, fingers spread wide, and it's like the hands are pulling back isometrically so that the chest and heart can pull forward. And the pubic bone is pressing down and the low belly is lifting up towards the navel. Here's our Sphinx pose. And then we're going to come down into a cobra pose. So forehead down, hands back by the ribs, everything at a right angle if you can get it there. If you can have a right angle in your wrist and right angle in your elbows, that's closer to the pure angles of this posture. If not, you can get the hands forward a little bit. That's a little easier on the wrists. But we're lifting the heads of the shoulders away from the floor, squeezing to get a trench in the upper back. Feet are coming together as much as they can. And then we'll inhale, come up, heart forward, exhale, lower down. Inhale, come up, pressing into the toes, exhale, come down. And this is fun, keeping the head looking down as we're rising, and then bringing the head up last. And then keeping the head looking up as we come down, and then bowing the head. One last time. Inhale up. And exhale down. Whew. Now this is a big armpit stretch. So we're going to bring that cactus right arm down off to the right, so the elbows bent and the hands reaching forward. And then we're going to bring the side of the head looking to the left, and we're up on the left fingertips. And then we're going to roll the body back towards that right arm. And feel how that really opens up strongly the front side of the armpit and the pectoral muscles. Just going to pause here and feel that stimulation to the lymphatic system right there. Good time to remember how much we're grateful that God is who He is and that He does what He does. And roll back over and bring the left arm out, that cactus shape. So the elbow's off to the side and the hand is straight forward. And bring the side of the head down onto the mat, and the right fingertips are used kind of as a little kickstand and a way to push off. Then we'll start to roll the body towards that left arm. Maybe bring the right toes behind the left leg. And that sweet spot where the armpit and the front of the chest are really stretched open. And then breathe right there. And release it back. Bring the arms along the side, pointing the toes, pressing into the toes and lifting the kneecaps. Lift the shoulders away from the floor. A few more cobras. Inhale up and exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. And exhale down. And roll over onto the back. And we'll start our cool down. Whew. After those cobras, this will feel really nice to hug the knees into the chest and rock from side to side. Get a little back release and counter pose to those cobra poses, which are so good for the immune system. And then bring the hands to the heads of the knees and start to circle. Getting that rocking, soothing action of the sacrum rocking back and forth that soothes the nervous system. And circle in the other direction. And big toes together, knees wide. And open and close the low back and the knees circling around. Another direction. And soles of the feet to the floor, arms out, shoulder height. Let me get my music to the side here. We'll press in the feet and lift the hips up a couple of inches, swing the hips to the left a couple of inches and drop back down on the right hip. And draw on the knees and let them fall off to the right and gaze to the left. Drawing that top hip down in the way. Maybe kicking that toe up to that hand that's waiting. Getting a little more stretch in the IT band. And then straighten out the head, release the toe, lift the top knee, then the bottom. Square out the pelvis. Press in the feet, lift the hips up, swing the hips a couple of inches off to the right and come back down on the left hip. Draw on the knees, let them fall to the right and gaze. Well, our knees went to the left, or we're gazing to the right. You can pull that top hip down and away. And if you feel frisky, kick that big toe up to the hand and hold it. Keeping that pulling of the top hip down and away, and you'll feel a little more in the IT band. And then center the head, release the foot, lift the top knee, then the bottom. We're going to stretch out the right leg, and we're on the sole of the left foot, and then we're going to hop that right hip under So rotate a little off to the right. Bring the sole of the foot up on top that right thigh and fall over to the right with the legs while the left shoulder stays on the ground and the gaze goes off to the left. So the knee can only go down as far as this top shoulder will allow. If it's popping off the floor, then lift the knee a little higher. And then center the head and lift that top knee. Square out the hips again. Bend the right knee and extend out through the left leg. And then tuck that left hip under. Bring the sole of the foot, the right foot, on top of the left thigh. And reach that knee off to the left as the shoulder on the right side especially is pinned to the ground. Gaze to the right. And center the head, lift the top knee, then the bottom. And we're going to prepare for Shavasana. So see how your low back is feeling. If the legs can be extended long with the heels at the edges of the mat and the feet flopped out. Arms down at your side, 45 degrees from the body with the palms up, fingers lightly curled, or you can interlace the fingers behind the head. They say it is impossible to be depressed and most likely to be down and anxious when the armpits are exposed. So this can be your Shavasana. Or if the low back is complaining, the soles of the feet can come to the edges of the mat and the knees fall into the center. And I have a song for you. So you can rest in Shavasana.
Its wounds and then watched it soar into the sky. If he's mindful of creation, on this I can depend. I am his child, and I can place all my trust in him. I can trust Jesus.
Deepen the breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Begin to rock the head from side to side, making small movements. Inhale the arms up overhead till the thumbs touch on the floor behind you. Draw the legs together, stretching out long. Come into a long stretch. Hook the thumbs if that feels good, and reach the right fingertips and the right toes away from each other as you squinch in the left side. And reach the left fingertips and the left toes away from each other as you squinch in the right. Do a couple more of these fishy wiggles. And then we'll roll to our right side, drawing the knees into the chest one at a time and using that bottom arm as a pillow. Use the hands to press into the floor and come up into a comfortable seated position with the eyes closed. Inhale the arms up overhead, palms come together at the heart. Maybe you can go into that Uttara Bodhi Mudra again with the index and thumb together at the heart. Father, I love hearing your words in Isaiah 28. You say, "Listen and hear my voice. Pay attention and hear what I say. When a farmer plows for planting, does he plow continually? Does he keep on breaking up and working the soil? When he has leveled the surface, does he not sow caraway and scatter cumin? Does he not plant wheat in its place and barley in its plot and spelt in its field? His God instructs him and teaches him the right way. Caraway is not threshed with a sledge, nor is the wheel of the cart rolled over cumin. Caraway is beaten out with a rod, and cumin with a stick. Grain must be ground to make bread, so one does not go on threshing it forever. The wheels of a threshing cart may be rolled over it, but one does not use horses to grind grain. All this also comes from the Lord Almighty, whose plan is wonderful, whose wisdom is magnificent." And Father God, we thank you for being almighty, systematic in all you do, purposeful, measured, for your wonderful plans and for your magnificent wisdom. In Jesus' name, amen. And thank you for being with me for this class. I hope you're feeling less anxious and that your immunity has been boosted. And I will see you at Bible study. Bye-bye.